Hi, and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where we focus on self-reliance, food security, and emergency preparedness. The first thing I want to do is just to express our deep gratitude and say thank you so much to all of you who are buying our books. It really is helping. But most of all, to those of you who are downloading the free little booklet on how you can turn 2 chickens into 12 meals for 2 people. We have had it downloaded thousands of times already. My watch vibrates and tickles my wrist every single time any event happens upon our bookstore, and I have been getting these little messages for a week straight. And every time, in fact, I just got one, download, it says, and I've probably had 3 in the last minute. And so we're just thrilled that what we have prepared is useful for so many people and will hopefully help people stretch their food budgets. And we're working on some more books and some more little surprises to put up there. It won't be coming quite as fast and furious as the first 2 did, but we are working diligently on getting more things up there for you. So we just appreciate your support so very much. And we also appreciate it when you share with others. Be sure that you, when you visit our bookstore, bookmark that to make it easy to go back to. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, we would invite you to do so that you can keep up on the latest things that we're going to talk about. So last night, Jim and I were out in our food storage area talking about what the video would be that we would be doing for tomorrow's release. And we found a couple of things that has led to this very video. So I'm going to show it to you. This is applesauce. Can you see the color? It looks nice and light down here, but it gets progressively darker. This jar is one that was canned in the very same year, 2016. So these are older, but you know what? This one is still perfectly good. This one, we are deciding today. I'm going to show you examples of things that we will keep and things that we're going to throw away. This one is one that we're going to throw away. So, listen, very nice seal. And here, the seal has broken. And so this is certainly not safe to eat, and it will be one that we're going to throw away. So I'm going to set it aside over here. Oh, Jim asked me to mention in today's video, he is the one that is primarily answering people's comments. I get in there every once in a while and do a few before I have to leave for work or whatever. He said he's getting lots of questions about rotel, the tomatoes with green chilies rotel, and how I asked, shall we do a video on how to freeze dry and dehydrate? And the overwhelming response was yes, and so we did this back in April, which is 3 months ago. And so people are saying, yes, do a video. Well, that video is done. And it's been out since April, where we show how to freeze dry and dehydrate rotel. So that one comes courtesy of Jim. All right, now, these 2 jars contain celery. This one, they were both dehydrated on the very same day, January 15th of this year. What made the difference? And would I still use these? They have greatly faded. These are nice and beautiful green. Well, the difference is when I blanched the celery, in this batch I put, I think, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and this one I didn't. And so now you can see the difference between these 2. Now this is still perfectly good, and I will use this. This is still beautiful and pretty, so of course it looks much more appetizing, but I'm not going to throw this away just because it has faded a little bit. This one is a jar of mixed vegetables that we dehydrated 12/24 of 20. So these are 1.5 years old. Now I'm going to open these up and get some poured on a plate so that you can perhaps see them just a little bit better. These have darkened greatly since I put them in the jar. And look especially at the green beans. They are turning almost black. Now, 1.5 years ago when I did these, I never dreamed that they would still be on our shelves 1.5 years later, because we generally rotate through things fairly quickly. Well, it was about 1.5 years ago when I started testing all kinds of new recipes for the food storage book that Cindy and I were doing, my sister Cindy and I were doing, and then that led to one thing to another, and I have been testing recipes and not doing my usual routine of cooking, which would have enabled me to use these long before this. So what do you think? Is this a keep or is it a throw? Well, I will keep these, but they are on my use quickly list because of the fading. And there might be some individuals like this little guy right here that I think I will toss, and maybe this one. The green beans are going faster than the carrots, peas, and corn. But this is still good. They're getting a little bit hard, but they will rehydrate in soups and stews, and that's what I would be using them for. So this is a keep. Now, back in January of this year, so that would be 7 months ago, we did a couple of videos on meatballs. We freeze-dried some and we canned some, and I used Costco meatballs, and I gave a justification of why it was scientifically, from my perspective, okay to use those in a pressure canning situation. And what we have found with these are the freeze-dried ones, is that obviously I have used some. These things are so hard and so dry that they don't reconstitute super fast. I made a batch of soup with them last night for supper, and it took about 45 minutes of simmering with the other ingredients in that soup for these meatballs to completely rehydrate and get soft enough so that we could eat them. Now, is that reason enough to toss these? Of course not. You knew I was going to say that. But rather, what happens is we just need to plan ahead to make sure that we have enough dehydrating or rehydrating time in our meal preparation so that it doesn't hold us up when these are soft on the outside and hard as marbles on the inside. So just know if you did this, at least for my batch, it takes a long time to rehydrate these. So every once in a while, it is a good idea to just walk through your food storage and randomly pull out jars. That is how I found this one. I didn't even see it. It was in a long row, and I just randomly reached in and picked it up. And of course the seal has broken, and so I checked everything all around it, and that was the only one. 2016 was a great apple year for us, so I put up, I don't know, Jim, 70 quarts of applesauce.
Sounds about right.
And so we're still eating it, and it is still just as good as can be. We're hoping for a good apple year this year. So far, so good. Now, back in March of 21, so a little over 1 year ago, our freeze dryer was brand new, and I was so excited to just do something with it. And so I asked Jim to go to Costco and to bring me a bag of something that was already pre-frozen, fruits or something. And so he brought home this. This is bananas and strawberries. And I think we might have out there 6 quarts of these bananas and strawberries. Now, they look pretty in the jar. When I did them, I had 6. I still have 6 because I wasn't really using these for anything. I did not have a particular recipe. I didn't have any idea. I just wanted to use my freeze dryer. In other words, I made a newbie mistake. And that was that I did not plan well for the food that I was going to be preparing to put on our shelf. Now, these are still perfectly good. Yep. They're still really good. So what can I use them for? Snacking. But then I figured that in times of grid down situation, these would be so good to cook, and these would rehydrate really fast with a batch of oatmeal or some kind of a cooked cereal. So I now have in my head an idea for how I might use these, and we'll start to use these just a little bit more. But the lesson here is to be prudent in what we decide that we're going to can or freeze dry or dehydrate. You know what our motto is: we store what we eat and we eat what we store. And I broke that rule with these strawberries and bananas. Now, the last thing I want to show you is a distinct disappointment for me. This happened in May 13th. I decided that I wanted to do some lemon wedges. I had previously done lemon slices. These were just done last month. These are about a month old, and they are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. These were done in May, and these are wedges. Well, not so beautiful. In fact, these are soft, they are sticky, they are oozing kind of a juice of some kind. There's stickiness getting on my hands. This looks like mold, but it isn't. It's just pulled away from, it's the membrane that has pulled away from the meat of the lemon. But, so what happened with these? Why on earth aren't these beautiful and yellow like this? They should be. They were for a while. Well, the diagnosis is they weren't dry all the way. There was still some moisture in these. And having a little bit of moisture in a jar of dehydrated or freeze-dried foods ruins the entire jar. This whole jar is ruined. I won't use any of these because there is moisture. And even though these are very high acid and the risk is not with botulism, but with moisture comes also other bacterial contamination. So I won't use these at all. So what a waste this is, and of my time and effort and the money that we spent on these lemons. So I'm showing this to you for data that you now know that I'm not perfect in the things that I do. I've never claimed to be perfect. I make mistakes, just like all of us. But what I like to do when I make a mistake is to diagnose what the problem is so that I won't make the same mistake twice. And so it is a good idea for us to go through our food storage every once in a while, randomly select things just to check to see whether it's home canned things. I checked dozens of things last night, and that applesauce is the only one that had a broken seal. And I didn't check every single jar. We would still be out there trying to do that. But randomly selecting among each of the groups and the types of things that I have done is a good idea. And then we can decide whether or not we want to save the food. Jim and I are both, particularly Jim, sticklers about safety, food safety. If there is even any hint that something might be wrong, Jim has always said, get rid of it, get rid of it. And he's probably saved me several times from getting sick because I am so don't know, Jim, now's your chance. What would you say?
Money conscious, food conscious, don't throw it away.
Yes. I want to use the last little bit of everything and make sure that we don't waste anything. But the investment of money, time, and effort is not worth either one of us getting sick over this or over this. Of course, this is obviously bad, so there's no question there. So part of being self-reliant is having the knowledge, and we've said on this channel many times that knowledge is power, is having the knowledge to know what to look for, how to diagnose problems, and then once we've diagnosed the problem, how to correct it in the future. That's all about self-reliance. And so if we're going to be self-reliant in our food storage, we need to go through and check things, and don't hesitate to get rid of things, and don't worry about the waste of time or money or food. Our health is more important. If we've made an error, chalk it up to experience, and then we learn from it. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope we can all work on being self-reliant. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you at our next video.